Ahead on our news tonight, the Minister of Works assuring Bahamians that BPL has a summer demand plan. Plus, afternoon tornadoes captured on film. And an island community still in shock over a recent plane crash which left one person dead. Our news, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Megan Shepard. Electricity consumers could get a break from summer power outages. Minister of Works and Utilities Alfred Sayers assuring consumers the Bahamas Power and Light Company has a contingency plan against power outages during the hot summer months. The plans laid out this morning as he contributed to the budget debate on the new fiscal budget. Jasmine Brown gets us started tonight with that report.
The Works and Utilities Minister, who has responsibility for Bahamas Power and Light, addressing the fears of many residents who are hoping hotter months do not mean more frequent power outages. Minister Sayers is insisting BPL will be able to generate more power than is usually consumed in the event of system failures.
BPL has, on my request, provided a contingency plan for the summer, because we don't want to have the summer come, which is a peak consumption period. And as minister, when the reporter asked me, well, what's the plan? We have to have a plan, and I requested a plan for the peak period of the summer.
Frequent power outages have become a norm during the summer months on New Providence, as high temperatures typically pose a greater strain for BPL's power generation. Sayers says BPL will once again rely on rentals to achieve its power generation goals.
We will consume up to 260 megawatts. We have made provision for there to be up to 323.5 megawatts, so that we have available during the peak period more power than we would normally consume, so that we can have some redundancies and be able to respond when there is a failure of one kind or another.
The minister added that BPL will also see savings as a result of the new rental agreement with Sun Utilities that was signed on May 24th.
And it's expected to be commercially available on or before July 1st, 2022. 27 megawatts of Sun Utilities contract is dual fuel and can run on the cheaper heavy fuel oil. 16 megawatts of the Sun Utilities rentals will run on propane and will result in savings of up to $40 million.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thank you, Jasmine. Central Grand Bahama Member of Parliament Iram Lewis bringing the troubling issue of rape to Parliament Tuesday, imploring the National Security Minister to look into a spike of rapes reported in Bahamia on Grand Bahama. This as the National Security Minister today revealed crime against the persons are up for the first 5 months of the year compared to the same period last year. Christina Dragovich reports.
There's been reports of about at least 4 or 5 rapes of single mothers in that area. And during the Labor Day March on Friday in Grand Bahama, one of the ladies who was raped, she introduced herself to me. She was strong enough to come on and march. She showed me the marks on her neck that the perpetrator did. And she was fortunate enough to escape with her life.
Central Grand Bahama Member of Parliament Iram Lewis calling on the National Security Minister to take a closer look at the current situation in Bahamia. Last month, 3 women were raped and the alleged culprit is still at large. Monroe responded, saying he will never understand the justification for rape.
Stealing to answer hunger, one may have some understanding for, one can have no understanding for rape in the context of our current social environment. It is to be deplored.
Monroe says the 2022-23 budget will provide for increased manpower and vehicles for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, which should boost patrols. This as Monroe told parliamentarians the Bahamas has experienced a high rate of crime between January 1st and May 31st of this year compared to the same period last year.
Statistics revealed an increase of major crimes from 1,580 in the period last year to 1,872 for the same period this year. That's an overall 18% increase. It should be noted that that increase is attributable to New Providence and Grand Bahama, as the family islands actually experience a 23% decrease.
Monroe says statistics also reveal murder and crimes against the person are up.
The incidence of violent crimes against a person rose by 45% from 508 to 315, and the numbers that everyone seems to be very concerned about, murders increased from 58 incidents from 46 for the same period last year.
Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
While National Security Minister Wayne Monroe revealed an 18% increase in major crimes for the first 5 months of 2022 and a 26% increase in murder, Police Commissioner Paul Rowe said there's also been an uptick in arrests.
There was also an uptick in arrests, and also if you follow, you notice we've been putting persons before the court. I shared a moment ago, when you have a murder, it's not only that one person, but now you have the person that's responsible for that is removed from society, and then you have two families that are hurting.
Some 72 hours after that fatal flight, and some Long Islanders is still shaken by the tragedy. Candino Knowles reports tonight that as residents and the wider community await answers about what led to Sunday's incident, concerns about emergency medical response also remain.
It's really sad. It's really sad. Nobody expected anything like that to happen. We're just coming off of a wonderful weekend. Everybody's looking forward to Long Island Regatta, and unfortunately, that's how we had to end it. But I'm hoping that the family receives thoughts and prayers, and they have our condolences, of course. And it was really rough news. It actually happened behind our house. Yes, it actually happened behind the house, so it was a little close to home. But we're grateful that everybody else survived, and our thoughts and prayers with the family.
Mandy Adderley, a resident of Deadman's Key, telling our news that she was not at home at the time of the crash and says the thought of it just shocking.
We had just pulled off, so we only got the news right when we got to where we arrived, and it was like, didn't you just hear? We were like, no, we just missed it. But it was really shocking. It was really shocking, and everybody was on the edge of their seats, waiting to hear the news, wanting to see who survived and really what transpired, but it was a rough couple of hours. I can only imagine what everybody else went through that was actually on the plane and their family members, but it was rough.
Here is where Newbold's body was being held the past 48 hours. The crash site just behind Adderley's home. Now an eerie scene set by Sunday's incident. It's an image she says she never wants a glimpse of.
No. As close as it is to the home, no, there's no need to go there.
Bianca Major is a resident of Buckley Settlement, and she tells me that days after the incident, and she too is still in shock.
Very traumatic for people to see something like that, especially after having such a successful regatta being revived, and the location of the crash site where it was so difficult to get to, it really, put a damper on the ending of such a wonderful event.
And now the spotlight once again moves to a much bigger issue: emergency medical services on the family islands. The Davis administration seeking to address the issue as Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville saying back in March that his ministry has been given cabinet approval for an excess of 270 staff to be dispatched to the family islands, all in an effort to improve healthcare systems. The health minister also indicating at that time that government will seek 2 loan facilities from the Inter-American Development Bank for the effort. and as the new administration has taken efforts. Arna saying this about Sunday's crash.
It brings back a lot of old memories of things that can possibly happen, but the best part about it was that the Coast Guard was able to come in right away to assist.
Arna and other islanders we spoke to say they are now waiting for answers about what caused Sunday's crash, but also want to know plans for the way forward when dealing with emergencies. Reporting for our news, I'm Kendino Knowles.
Another rainy afternoon adding tornadoes to the soggy weather. Our Greg Thompson is in the weather center with your first look at the tropics.
Thanks, Megan, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this Hump Day Wednesday. Cloudy conditions outside our studios, temperatures in the low 80s, 83 degrees. Light winds at 2 miles per hour out of the east. Factoring the relative humidity, our feels-like temperature standing at 88 degrees. On our satellite, a lot of moisture still across our area due to that plume of moisture that was attached to Alex, which is no longer out there. That moisture plume is going to continue to stay with us for at least another day or two before things clear out, so isolated showers and thunderstorms occurring. We did have one of those thunderstorms in the capital earlier today that produced a water spout. A disturbance to the east of that will continue to pump some more moisture across our area, so unsettled weather pattern expected. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, Prime Minister Davis pushes climate change at Summit of the Americas, and telecommunications provider Alive is ready for hurricane season. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Residents of the capital reported several tornadoes seen here in this video this afternoon. Tornadoes developed from severe thunderstorms in warm, moist, unstable air. Such thunderstorms also may generate large hail and damaging winds. We have been having lots of thunderstorms here in the capital lately. Unstable weather, to say the least. A spell of heavy rain and major flooding, leaving many wondering what the hurricane season will bring. Our Jean Joseph speaks with Cala Weather Chief Meteorologist Susie Martin to gain some insight.
With flooding already prevalent and a whopping 21 named storms estimated, 10 of which could potentially become major hurricanes, how concerned should we be this hurricane season? Cala Weather Chief Meteorologist Susie Martin shares her concerns regarding climate change and its effect on the storms we experience here in the Bahamas.
You know, the Bahamas in particular are very susceptible because of the relief of the terrain. And with climate change, for example, we have seen sea levels rising. So areas may be more prone and will be more prone to inland flooding and the storm surge with the upcoming tropical season. That's really front of mind.
Martin warns, with the rise in ocean temperatures and slower moving storms, there may be Dorian clones on the horizon. She also says we may have to brace for more flooding even outside the season.
The Atlantic waters have warmed 1.85 degrees since 1880, and any warming that we do see is going to manifest into likely stronger storms, so that's a concern. We've also seen data that say storm speeds could reduce, so in experiencing Hurricane Dorian that was stalled for several days, storms like that are a huge concern because not only do you have a stronger storm potentially, but one that can last multiple days. So flooding again becomes really top of mind, and just in general, just the overall rain events could be more intense due to more water vapor in the atmosphere, aside from tropical season. So there's a lot to pay attention to in the coming decades for sure.
Martin still urges residents to prepare and always stay informed.
So it's important to stay informed, find resources that can help you and have a plan, and evacuate when you're told, when officials are recommending that you do so. And just think about the future and where you live. And if you live in an area that's prone to flooding, how can you combat that and try to find solutions?
American officials claim 88% of deaths from hurricanes and tropical storms are due to water, not wind. Dorian's death toll neared 70, but many more undocumented migrants are believed to have perished during the monster storm, mostly attributed to the sea surge experienced in Abaco and Grand Bahama. So, as we prepare for an above-average hurricane season, we urge you to stay safe and prepare early. Reporting for our news, I'm Gene Joseph.
Climate change, equitable growth, and prosperity among topics at the Summit of the Americas today, as Prime Minister Philip Davis and a delegation make the case for why the Bahamas should have easier and equitable access to climate funding.
Whether we are recognizing it or not, we are losing our land mass. The sea level rises is causing challenges with potable water, which causes other issues. The rising temperature of the seas is impacting our corals, and as a consequence, our ability the fishermen's livelihood is also questioned.
Davis says he hopes all stakeholders will recognize the importance of the Bahamas gaining funding to fight climate change, and that we will soon see action beyond words written on paper.
I think we're getting there for them to understand what we are through my voice so far. It's just a question now of getting some action to assist us in reversing what's happening and accessing funding to ensure that we are resilient going forward.
The Prime Minister is also expected to underscore his concerns about guns being smuggled from the United States to the Bahamas. As the storm season continues, telecoms provider and REV's sister company, Alive, has been preparing well ahead of any major storm that may directly touch down in these islands. Alive General Manager of Family Islands, Dominic Petty, telling Our News that verification and certification of all cell sites has been going on to ensure residents stay connected before, during, and in the immediate aftermath of a storm. Petty also talks of leveraging the lessons learned from catastrophic Hurricane Dorian.
We actually prepare for it months in advance, and so we actually have our technicians basically just going at the various sites just to ensure that they are maintained, make sure that everything is tightened, make sure that our equipments are intact. Also just ensuring that we do have spare equipment, spare generators, ensure that things are aligned with in the way that they should be. Also, one of our lessons learned was particularly just ensuring that our critical infrastructure was placed underground, which mainly is our fiber optic cable. So the majority of those lines in the critical areas are underground, so we have secured that. So we are in a pretty comfortable space should something occur. And if we do have damages to our network, we do have a lot of spare parts and equipment to be able to get the restoration up as quick as possible.
Still to come, gas lines at Porky's causing quite a stir.
Plus, coming up in Sports Night, Jazz Chisholm goes deep, not once, but twice. The Marlins get a nice win. We'll give you details on that. And Special Olympics Bahamas at the Special Olympics event in USA. That's all coming up in sports.
Those stories and more when we return.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamir.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Hundreds of residents grateful to save a few dollars earlier today as a local gas station in South New Providence had a sale on the hot commodity. As prices continue to climb this summer, Porky's service station slashed prices to just $5.99. Videos circulating on social media showcasing residents' excitement for the one-day relief. Currently around the island, gas is at $7.39 at Esso, $6.13 at Rubis, and $6.35 at Shell. Sports is up next with our Marcellus Hall, giving us the latest on Bahamian Jazz Chisholm as he powers the Marlins to a win. Meanwhile, our Special Olympics team is in competition.
All right, thanks a lot, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Jazz Chisholm, well, to say he's been struggling a bit since coming off an injury would be kind of an understatement. But last night, he got back on track in a big way. Marlins taking on the Washington Nationals. Jazz striking not once, but twice. Let's take a look. Jazz Chisholm, Miami Marlins in action yesterday, taking on the Washington Nationals in Miami. What a day for Jazz Chisholm. Other news, this time coming in from Special Olympics. Bahamas right now with a Special Olympics squad taking part in Special Olympics USA. The team seeing some action yesterday and getting some good results as Mr. Big Stuff, Austin Green, and Bronson B-Man Aaron got their preliminary rounds in the bowling segment. A lot of other behemoths also in action in bocce and athletics. We'll give you updates on that team as they continue to progress throughout the competition. And there it is. You look at sports for you here on this Hump Day Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Great stuff happening. Well, our Greg Thompson is poised in the Weather Center with your extended weather forecast. And outgoing president of the University of the Bahamas says no regrets. He is leaving a strong foundation in place. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back to our news. It's time now for your extended weather forecast. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look at conditions for the week ahead. Greg?
Thanks again, Megan, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Taking a look at our water vapor loop. Satellite imagery showing an upper level low that's spinning just to the west of the Bahamas into the Gulf of Mexico. Another one just northeast of the area. That's not really affecting us, and one way down there near the Caribbean, but this is the one that's going to continue to pump some moisture across us. So it's going to help to enhance some shower and thunderstorm activity across the Bahamas throughout the next couple of days before it actually wanes and moves out of the area. And that moisture plume, which was with us, with Alex, it's still out there, and it's going to continue to stay with us for, as I mentioned, another couple of days. So look for some showers, some isolated thunderstorms, not a real washout in terms of any significant weather, but we could see one or two strong thunderstorms with this system. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Winds will be light and variable tonight, coming out of the south to southwest at 10 to 15 knots. They will continue to fall light and variable at times. Seas running 2 to 4 feet. Low tide will be at 9:35 tonight. For the central and southeast Bahamas, east to southeasterly flow 10 to 15 knots. Your seas running 2 to 4 feet over the open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast for the next 7 days, more showers in the forecast tomorrow, starting to clear up by the weekend, and then by next week, some Saharan dust will be moving in, so we're looking for some very stable conditions until the end of the week. That's your look at weather. Back to you, Megan.
In less than 2 months, the University of the Bahamas will have a new president. Tonight, our Sasha Lightbourne speaks with the outgoing president about his legacy as he prepares to leave the tertiary institution. It's a story you will see only on our news.
I said a long time ago that when the time comes for me to leave, I want to make sure that the university has a strong foundation. And that strong foundation needs to be strong enough so they continue to serve the institution and to grow with the institution.
That's outgoing president of the University of the Bahamas, Dr. Rodney Smith. Dr. Smith, who demits office at the end of July, has spent a total of 9 years at the institution, leading the transition from college to university.
Back in 2004, 2005, we acquired the old Batelco building, which is now our bookstore and our graduate departments as well. In Grand Bahama, we expanded and we started the East Campus, the East Grand Bahama campus. But I think in terms of foundations, in 2005, one of the things we did was to transition from lectures to having assistant professor, associate professor, and full professor rankings.
He also shared this about contributions he's made during his tenure.
So one of the greatest things we've done is to actually put in the world's most advanced data management system for the University of the Bahamas. banner, which really put us in a position of being totally ready when we had to do a lockdown or when we had to go virtual and remote teaching and operations as well. I think that's one of the greatest things.
Dr. Smith also gave this advice to the incoming president.
He and I met privately, and then we met with the entire senior administration team, spent a few hours together. And I said to him, that this is the first time in the institution's history that we are doing a presidential transition like this, from one president to the other.
Now, back in March, the university's Board of Trustees officially announced that Dr. Eric Rowland would officially become Dr. Smith's successor. Dr. Rowland is expected to take office on August 1st. Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Leipo.
Thank you so much for joining us for Our News on this Hump Day Wednesday. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Megan Shepard. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Until then, have a wonderful evening.